If you're new to filmmaking, there's a couple things you're going to learn right away. First, it can get really expensive. And secondly, there are a lot of rules. In today's video, I'm going to break down some filmmaking basics. I'm going to show you how I bend some of the rules. And the nice byproduct of that is it can potentially save you a little bit of money. So lots to cover today. Let's get started, shall we? Whether you call yourself a filmmaker or a content creator or a videographer, at the end of the day, the title really doesn't matter because we all have to start from somewhere, from square one. And, it can feel very overwhelming. There's tons of equipment decisions to make, settings to consider. You want your videos to look a certain way. And what I am finding is that people get so overwhelmed by all the information that's out there, they don't do what they really intend to do, and that is to get that video out. So we're going to dive into camera settings. We're also going to look at audio and video, and then some other helpful tips that I'm hoping will inspire you to get creative. And we're going to simplify everything. So let's get started with cameras. What camera should I buy? So this is the question I get asked the most. And my initial response is typically, well, what camera do you have in your pocket? And I know that sounds cliche, but if you really want to invest in a professional camera or a camera that's separate from your phone, it's really a big investment. So I always try to encourage people to just use their phone first. You could just be using the typical settings on your phone, but here's what I want you to do. Download the Blackmagic camera app and start to learn all of the different settings that are included in this app. What you should focus on is shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. These are the three main settings that when you do go to purchase a bigger camera, you're going to be adjusting the most. So by downloading this free app, you can start to experiment with these settings in the Blackmagic app. So if you are shooting at 24 frames per second, you want to set your shutter speed at 2 times whatever that number is. So you're going to set that to 50. If you're shooting 30 frames per second, then you want to set your shutter angle at 60, and so on and so forth. Then what I typically do is I will just choose an aperture and I just make one decision. Do I want the background to be blurry or not blurry? If you want a blurry background, you want that aperture number to be lower. And if you want things to look more in focus in the background, then you're going to turn that aperture number up higher. Now, of course, if you're shooting outdoors, you are going to want a higher aperture of about 8 or higher to compensate for sun. And then the way that you dial in your exposure is you use your ISO. And don't worry about base ISO or anything like that. Just adjust your ISO settings so that they look good in camera. And then those are the 3 settings that you really want to start learning, but not just knowing about them, really start learning them. And I know there's some of you that really don't want to use the camera on your phone. You want to go ahead and make your first camera purchase. And I get it. There's so many great camera manufacturers and cameras out on the market, and you can get some really great deals if you just purchase a used camera. But when I'm looking for a camera, these are the 3 main things that I'm looking for. First of all, you want to be able to customize the dials on your camera, whatever camera you're purchasing. So for instance, I have my aperture set to this dial in the front of this camera. Right here, I have my shutter angle, so I can adjust that if I want. And then there's a wheel on the back of this particular camera that I have set to adjust my ISO. So insert camera type here. The reason why that's important is because while I'm shooting video, I can quickly modify those settings. So these are the settings that I went over that you should learn on your phone. And then once you make your first camera purchase, you want to start practicing with those settings as well. So first is to set your shutter angle. That's double whatever frame rate you're filming. Then dial in your aperture, whether you want a blurry background or a not blurry background. And then finally, you want to adjust your ISO settings. So by having these dials on the camera set to those settings, you can do this very quickly. This camera right here has a dial in the front, a dial on top, but it doesn't have a wheel or an additional dial on it. However, what you can do, this is a button in the front. So you can actually set this to multiple settings. So if I use a camera like this, I can set my shutter angle and also my aperture here. And then I'm going to do my ISO adjustments up here with this wheel. So you want to make sure that you can customize all of those buttons and settings. And again, it doesn't really matter what manufacturer you go with. Just make sure that you are able to customize those dials so that you can make those adjustments very quickly. If you want to buy a new camera, they're expensive. For example, this body and lens, the Fujifilm X-M5, is going to run you about $1,500, which is more than the price of a phone. But you're in luck because, remember, we're all about breaking rules today. Don't go out and buy a new camera. Shop on the used market. So I shoot with the Sony FX3, which is a $3,000 plus camera, but you can get those used now. There's tons of options out there. So my advice to you is to buy a used camera and used lens, especially if this is your first camera purchase. There's also other fun accessories out there like adjustable ND filters. These filters are nice to have if you're shooting outdoors in a sunny environment and you still want to keep your aperture really low so that you can have a blurry background. Lots of times people will attach an ND filter to the front of their lens, but there is a rule you can break. So you don't have to use an ND filter. You can still maintain a blurry background even in a very sunny environment. This camera, I use this dial for my shutter angle. When it's sunny outside and you don't have an ND filter, you can adjust your shutter angle so that it's going to darken your image. That way you can keep your aperture low. You can keep that blurry background. Your shutter angle is going to be different, but I promise you, nobody's going to be able to tell the difference. So save some money on making those ND filter purchases and use shutter angle to darken your image. Shooting in log. While we're on the topic of camera settings, I know a lot of you want to shoot in log. You can shoot in log using that Blackmagic app. So just like the settings, I encourage you to download that app on your phone and start to experiment with log, or on your camera. You can use log settings as well. But I'm just going to say, don't use it. Use the standard picture profile, especially when you're first starting out. Grading footage is a whole nother aspect, and I know you want your footage to look amazing, but you're going to break the rules. Use a standard picture profile. If you make good content, nobody's going to know, nobody's going to care. So avoid using log footage. What light should I purchase? Okay, I never get asked this question, but I do want to share that in this video, I'm not using any lighting. Well, I'm using this one, this practical light right here. It adds, in my opinion, that little cinematic touch to the video. But avoid purchasing lights until you get used to your camera. I'm just sitting in front of a nice big window, and then I'm also taking advantage of the big room behind me so that I can get that nice blurry background. I have depth of field back there. So let me just turn my studio lights on real quick. This is what it looks like if my studio lights are on. You can see I have a hair light that's really helping to separate myself from the background. But if I turn this back off, I mean, let's be real. Did you really see a big difference between the before and after? So just go ahead and run with natural lighting, whether you're indoors or outdoors to start, and save a couple dollars and push that lighting purchase down the road a little bit. What microphone should I buy? All right, I do get asked this question a lot as well. And the truth is, audio should be a priority. You want your audio to sound great, because if it doesn't, people are going to tune out. But you don't need to do what I'm doing, and that is spending money on a $500 plus microphone, running it through Rodecaster Duo, and then into your camera. So we're going to break some rules here as well. And what you can start out by doing is just using the microphone on your phone. This is an iPhone. You can use whatever phone you might have. And then you're going to record your audio. You're going to sync it to your footage in your edit. And then what you can do is take advantage of a tool that I use all the time. It's called Auphonic. It's an AI tool. I just made a whole video about how to optimize your audio. It has audio samples and everything in it. I'm going to place a link down in the description below. So watch that video to optimize your audio, put off that microphone purchase. Just use what you have for now. Most of you are probably here to learn about the rules to break when it comes to your camera and your audio and your lighting. But there's also another rule to break, and that has to do with creating a script. This is something that most filmmakers or content creators will suggest is before you even hit record on your camera is to put a full script together. And what I typically do is I don't do a script. I still like my videos to feel a little more on the natural side. I'm okay if there are mistakes in my videos, but you do want to start with something. So instead of creating a full script, because that feels very overwhelming, start by creating a bullet list of items that you want to cover in your video and place those notes close to your camera. You can do them on your phone or you can place them on a laptop. In fact, I have all my notes on a laptop right there. So what I do is before takes, I'll look over, I'll see what I need to say in the next segment, and then I'll look at the camera and I'll go ahead with just that one segment. And then what I can do in the edit is I can just nicely blend everything together so that it creates a video that's watchable from beginning to end. And it just makes prep a little shorter and not so daunting. And the final rule I want you to break when it comes to filmmaking is perfection. Go out there and make mistakes. They say it takes at least 10,000 hours to be good at something. If you worked at something for 40 hours a week for a total of 1 year's time, that's going to give you 10,000 hours. So depending on however much time you have to dedicate to this new craft that you're learning, don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself some grace. It's going to take time to get to that 10,000-ish hour mark. I like to say, make 50 videos, make one video a week for a year. And that gives you a couple of weeks of leeway for holidays or vacations or anything like that. But go out, make 50 videos this year, make as many mistakes as possible. And even if you're making a mistake, put the video out. You're going to see that over time, your videos are just better, and avoid that perfection and just do the thing. And this concludes my videos about all the rules you should be breaking as a filmmaker. Don't forget to take a look at the AI tool that I covered in the video to learn how to optimize your audio, whether you're a beginner or an expert. And thanks as always for tuning in. I'll see you again in the next video.